What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1969 Mercedes 600. Up front is a 6.3-liter V8, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I'm super excited to be driving this Mercedes 600 because it is so regal, it is so lovely, and I've wanted to drive one of these for a very, very long time, and so I was so excited by the opportunity to drive one here today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 6.3-liter V8 under the hood. 6.3-liter is still pretty large, especially by European standards. And so this one makes about 300 horsepower, which I think is very healthy, and it does have a Bosch system on it. So very, very cool about that 6.3 V8. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Nothing really too crazy going on there. However, it's shifting nice and smooth here. So many years later, I can't really ask much more. Last but not least about the drivetrain, of course, the Mercedes 600 is rear-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive a Mercedes 600? I mean, you feel like the man. You feel like the coolest kid in school, and that's what this vehicle is all about. There is a little bit of road noise. It doesn't have quite the sound deadening as more modern luxury cars do, but that's okay. The ride floats over bumps. It's extremely cushy, and I enjoy it quite a bit. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of gauges and dials. Off to the left is my tachometer, and off to the right is my speedometer. But then in the center, I do get a little Mod Podge of different gauges for fuel and KL, CW, DELP. Very, very cool stuff here. The steering wheel isn't anything special besides the fact that it does have the horn ring on it, which you can adjust the horn to be super loud or kind of loud, as we'll talk about in a second. But the steering is nice and light, and so the steering wheel really helps that out. Off to the left, we have our horn adjustment button, like I just mentioned, our light switches, a little climate vent, and another light switch. Down below, however, we have a very interesting pullout. So this car is outfitted with pneumatic suspension, which means it can raise and lower its suspension and essentially rides on air. When this knob is pushed all the way in, that's for regular driving. It's going to keep adjusting the suspension as you drive to try to give you a comfy ride. When you pull it out once, this will hold the system at where it is. So if you end up parking the vehicle, you're not going to come back outside and realize your car is squatting on the ground. And then if you pull it out one more time, it will actually raise the suspension for service mode. Again, very, very cool. Moving on to the door, we have our mirror adjustments, which are manual, of course. Latch you get in and out, and our window switches, which, again, pneumatic windows, and the driver's window is so ridiculously fast. Because it's not electronic, it is pneumatic. And so it's very, very cool to see that. We also have an ashtray off to the left of the window switches, because heaven forbid you can't smoke and drive your Mercedes 600. And we do have a smoker's window that you could tilt out to get a little bit of airflow. However, as we'll talk about later, this is outfitted with air conditioning. Moving into the center, we do have this nice wood panel up at the top of the dashboard, and moving down below, we have a temperature gauge with some venting options. We have an analog clock and our Becker Grand Prix radio for AM and FM. We get some more nice wood accents across the rest of the dash, and then down below you'll see this is added air conditioning. Now it is a factory installed option, but not all Mercedes came with it, which is why it looks like this. Very typical of the 60s and 70s to have vehicles like this, and even if you go into the 80s, just sort of added on boxes underneath the dash, so that's how they did it back in the day. However, there aren't any more interior attributes, and so I don't get cup holders, I don't get a center console, which really opens up room for my legs, but unfortunately that also means that it fails the big friggin' bottle test. The seats are incredibly comfortable, super cushy, will not hold you in if you try to take a corner fast, but that's not what this car was all about. It was all about driver and passenger comfort, and that is exactly what these seats deliver, which is awesome. However, speaking of seats, I have an idea that the back seats are probably where you really want to be, so let's go do a back seat review. Even before stepping in, I mean, this door is built like a bank vault door. Oh my. Oh, it's comfortable. It's so spacious. There's a really big lip on the floor here. You kind of step down into it, but you feel very sturdy. That's what I like. I do have curtains back here, which are manual, but I do have actual curtains in the back. The seats are adjustable as well, and they are pneumatic. I can lounge back if I want or sit up. Very, very cool to see all of that. Of course, ashtrays in the doors, knee room great, headroom great, even with my glasses on my head. They might not be Gucci, they might be Walmart brand, but they are in a Mercedes 600 today, and that's all that matters. I do have a tiny little center console that is just a giant foam brick to rest your arm on and maybe get a quick snooze in on your way between business meetings. Just wow. I mean, just wow. And you can put the windows down, and you can have this little flap that will kind of keep your hair from going all crazy. Very, very cool. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the Mercedes 600. First of all, I do want to note that the fuel filler is right there behind that nice little hidden hatch. Come in here with the key.
All right, so I couldn't get the trunk open at the time of filming, but when I brought it back to the shop, I was able to get it open, and here it is. It is large. It is everything I would want out of a Mercedes trunk, and you get a full-size spare, so not too bad for the back of the Mercedes 600.
Now we got to talk about the looks, and this is it. This is the prettiest, the best, the most attractive Mercedes ever made. Ever. I'm talking the entire lineage of the Mercedes-Benz brand. This is the best in my opinion. It just is, and there's no changing it in my mind. The way that it's supple and yet strong, that's what I love about it. It's not brutal and in your face. It's not spitting on your lunch and saying, ha ha, you can't afford me. It just is nicer. It's like an old manor in the countryside of Rhode Island. It's very old money. It doesn't need to prove anything to you, and yet because it doesn't have to prove anything, that proves everything. That's why I love the exterior of this Mercedes 600. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a 1969 Mercedes 600? Well, I love it. I mean, I really, truly love this automobile. It's wonderful. It's so good. Because like I said with the looks, it's not trying to prove anything. It's just a nice thing. You know, with like modern Mercedes and the AMGs, which I love, I really do love those cars, but they're all loud and they crackle in your face, and it's like, look at me, look at this, look at what we can do. The G-Wagon has become a status symbol that football players and movie stars drive, which is cool, but that sort of has a life beyond the vehicle itself. This doesn't. This is just classy, respectful, and luxurious for the sake of being itself. This is that billionaire that still wears Hanes t-shirts. Because a t-shirt's a t-shirt. Nothing in here in this car feels superfluous. I don't feel like they did anything, just to try to get a rowl out of people or try to look more fancy. The wood grain in the dash is a nice touch, but it's not gaudy, it's not in your face, and it's not trying to scream at you. The AM and FM radio is just the nicest radio they could fit in here in the 1960s. The air conditioning is just so you don't sweat it out on those hot days up in the Hamptons. That's how this car feels. This is true class and true luxury. This car isn't Instagram famous. It's not a TikToker with a pink Lambo. This car rolled up its sleeves and got the job done, and well, was paid rather handsomely to do it. And so that is why I love this Mercedes 600 so much. So much. If I could take it home today, I most certainly would. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Anish and GT Auto Mall for letting me take out this 600 Mercedes. What an amazing experience. And I have GT Auto Mall and Anish to thank for that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.